Hey, college football fans. The SEC's reign at the top of the college football world just got some serious competition. For the second year in a row, it's a Big Ten team taking home the national championship. Ohio State defeated Notre Dame 34-23 in a thrilling game that left the SEC watching from home. So, what's going on here? Is the Big Ten making its move to the top? And what does this mean for the SEC? Let's dive in. 1. Ohio State takes the crown. Back-to-back titles for the Big Ten. That's right, for the second consecutive year, a Big Ten team, this time Ohio State, claimed the national title. Just last year, Michigan was the team to celebrate. And now it's the Buckeyes' turn. And it's hard not to hear the chant of SEC. SEC, ringing from the Big Ten's rivals. But this time, those chants were nowhere to be found. Ohio State's victory over Notre Dame marks a massive shift in the landscape of college football. The SEC, for the first time in a long time, is left watching from home. So, does this mark the end of the SEC's dominance? Or is it just a temporary blip? 2. SEC dominance, a legacy challenge. For most of the last 2 decades, the SEC was untouchable. From Alabama to Georgia, LSU, Florida, and beyond, the SEC dominated college football, claiming 13 of the last 17 national titles, including a stretch of 7 consecutive championships. Alabama alone won 6 titles in this stretch. But for the last 2 years, that dominance has been challenged, first by Michigan, and now by Ohio State. The Big Ten isn't just knocking on the door anymore. They're walking right in, and it's making the SEC, and the rest of college football, take notice. 3. The changing landscape. NIL and transfer portal impact. What's driving this change? The answer lies in NIL and the transfer portal. With players now able to earn money and transfer more freely, the playing field has leveled. The Big Ten, led by schools like Ohio State and Michigan, is tapping into these new systems in ways that could threaten SEC supremacy. Ohio State's success this season wasn't just about homegrown talent. They brought in key transfers, like former Alabama safety Caleb Downs and Ole Miss running back Quinshon Judkins, and used NIL deals to keep their top players, like quarterback Kyle McCord, from jumping to the NFL early. 4. Money and resources. Is the Big Ten closing the gap? Another big factor? Money. Ohio State and other Big Ten schools have massive fan bases, huge alumni networks, and significant resources. In fact, Ohio State is in a better financial position than many SEC schools, especially in terms of NIL capabilities. As Big Ten schools like Ohio State and Michigan continue to flex their financial muscle, they're able to compete head-to-head with the SEC when it comes to bringing in top talent, both through recruiting and NIL deals. And while the SEC isn't out of the picture, they still got Texas and Texas A&M. The Big Ten is rising fast. 5. The new era of college football, a more balanced playing field. So, does this mean the Big Ten is here to stay as a powerhouse in college football? It certainly looks like it. The combination of NIL, the transfer portal, and financial resources has opened the door for more schools to compete at the highest level. Teams like Penn State, Indiana, and Illinois are starting to make waves. And it seems like both Ohio State and Michigan are just getting started. This is no longer a 2-team race dominated by the SEC. The landscape has shifted, and the Big Ten is making a serious push to be at the top. 6. SEC still a threat. The road ahead. Now, don't get me wrong, the SEC is still the SEC. Alabama, Georgia, and even teams like LSU will always be a force to be reckoned with. But the reality is, the SEC's stranglehold on college football is loosening, and it's going to take some time to figure out how to respond. Alabama and other SEC programs are already aware of the growing competition, especially in terms of NIL. Alabama's AD recently made a public call for more grassroots NIL funding, acknowledging that other teams are trying to outbid them for top recruits. This is only the beginning of the new rivalry between the SEC and Big Ten. 7. Closing thoughts. What does this mean for college football? So, where do we go from here? The dominance of the SEC isn't gone, but it's definitely been shaken, with teams like Ohio State and Michigan stepping up and finding new ways to build their programs. The future of college football is looking a lot more competitive. The balance of power is shifting, And the next few seasons could be the most exciting we've seen in a long time. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think the Big Ten will continue to dominate college football? Or is this just a flash in the pan? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more college football updates. Until next time, enjoy the game. Alright folks, grab your popcorn because the College Football National Championship just gave us a thriller of a game. Ohio State versus Notre Dame. And guess what? We've got a 2-loss national champion. Which is a story you definitely don't hear every day. The Buckeyes pulled off a 34-23 victory. But let me tell you, it was far from smooth sailing. Stick around, because this one had the perfect blend of drama, high stakes, and a coach whose job was on the line. And oh, don't worry, I'm gonna break it all down. And I promise, there are some twists that'll make your jaw drop. Let's go. Alright, so let's set the stage for you. Ohio State came into this game with a big reputation to live up to. It had been 10 years since their last national title. And with their 2 losses this season, they were facing not just Notre Dame, but some serious expectations. But early on, this game looked like Ohio State was going to run away with it. Notre Dame opened the game with a bang, scoring on their very first drive. Riley Leonard, the Fighting Irish quarterback, was basically Superman for the first couple of minutes, marching them down the field for a 75-yard touchdown. However, after that, it was pretty much all Ohio State for the next few quarters. And you know what they say, never count your chickens before they hatch. But for the first 40 minutes, the Buckeyes were absolutely cooking. Let me tell you about this backfield magic. Ohio State running back Quinshon Judkins. He was on fire. A transfer from Ole Miss. He scored 3 touchdowns in this game, showing everyone why Ohio State brought him in. And don't even get me started on quarterback Will Howard. He was throwing absolute dimes, completing his first 13 passes. I mean, at that point, the Irish defense was looking like it was out of gas. Ohio State was up big at one point, 31-7, in the third quarter. But, oh boy, did Notre Dame decide to make this one interesting. After a series of Ohio State scores, the Irish dug deep. They managed to score 16 points in a row. And just like that, the Buckeye lead went from huge to, uh-oh. Riley Leonard connected with Jaden Greathouse for a 30-yard touchdown. And boom, Notre Dame was suddenly within 8 points with just over 4 minutes left in the game. I mean, at that point, I'm thinking, is this gonna be a wild upset? But, just like a plot twist in your favorite Netflix series, Ohio State stepped up big. Will Howard, cool as a cucumber, connected with freshman star Jeremiah Smith for a huge gain. Smith just burned the Irish secondary like it was nothing. That, my friends, iced the game. And Ohio State did what they do best, close it out in style. Now, before we dive deeper into the drama of Notre Dame's comeback attempt, let's talk about how dominant Ohio State really was, especially in the first half. Judkins was like a freight train, rumbling through Notre Dame's defense. He had a 100-yard game, which, by the way, was his first 100-yard performance since week 3. Not to mention that beautiful 6-yard touchdown catch before halftime to make it 28-7. Just a moment of complete domination. Ohio State knew how to break an opponent's back at the most painful moments. But here's where Notre Dame's hopes started to unravel. After they cut Ohio State's lead to 16, things started to look up, right? Well, not so fast. A questionable decision by Notre Dame coach Marcus Freeman to settle for a field goal instead of going for the touchdown on 4th and goal was a turning point. Tension builds with background music. Here's the deal. Notre Dame's offense wasn't exactly lighting it up. They needed a miracle, but instead of going for it on 4th and 9, Coach Freeman decided to send out the kicker to cut the lead to 13 points. But the field goal? It hit the left upright, ouch. That right there was the turning point. And if you think that wasn't bad enough, Notre Dame's offense, after getting that lucky break earlier, couldn't convert the next time down the field. It was just one of those moments where it felt like Notre Dame's chance was slipping away. Ohio State's road to redemption and their postseason dominance. Upbeat music resumes. Okay, so let's shift gears and talk about the big picture. Ohio State needed this championship. After losing to Michigan yet again, the Buckeyes entered the 2024 season with one goal in mind: redemption. Coach Ryan Day, who had been under a lot of pressure, made some big moves to retool the team. They added talent through the transfer portal. And bam, Quinshon Judkins was a game changer. They also brought in a familiar face to help with the offense, Chip Kelly. Former Oregon and Eagles coach, was hired as the new offensive coordinator. Kelly's offensive schemes really worked wonders in the postseason. But let's not forget, this wasn't all smooth sailing. The regular season was full of bumps, including another loss to Michigan and a heartbreaking end to their regular season. But somehow, when the playoffs rolled around, Ohio State flipped the switch. They dominated Tennessee, revenge-gamed Oregon, and took down Texas in the semifinals. It was looking like they were on a mission, and they certainly proved it. Final thoughts and conclusion: upbeat, triumphant music. And so, here we are, the Ohio State Buckeyes are your 2024 national champions, defeating Notre Dame 34-23. What a season it's been for them, filled with ups and downs. But in the end, they're on top of the world. Will they reign supreme next season? Only time will tell. But for now, Ohio State and Coach Ryan Day can enjoy this one. And Buckeye fans, you got 10 more years to talk about this one. Because finally, your team is back on top. Congrats to them and well done. Call to action. And hey, before you go, don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new, and drop a comment below with your thoughts on the game. Did you think Notre Dame had a chance? Or was Ohio State always destined to win? Let's chat in the comments. Catch you in the next one. Folks, peace out. End with outro.